Hey everybody, welcome back to Jeff Bull Central. So in 1998, my brother who was in college at the time, I was a kid. He got this new laptop, this new gateway, this new gateway laptop, and for Christmas he got a game called Dune 2000, which was one of my first real-time strategy games. And it was a RTS based on the Dune universe, and it was really, really cool. Like, I really, really loved that game. But guess what? It needs an update every now and then, these things. I mean, it's a different developer, and it's a different era, and it's a different thing entirely, and it's that old Dune 2000. It was made in 1998. I don't know why they called it Dune 2000, other than to capitalize on Y2K stuff. But it had its day, and it was old-fashioned, and this is Dune Spice Wars, which just released on Xbox, which was kind of a total surprise for me and probably for everybody else who's interested in both real-time strategy and Dune. I'm a huge Dune fan. I actually have a very, very encyclopedic working knowledge of Dune. I've read all the Dune books. I've read all the non-Frank Herbert Dune books that his son and Kevin J. Anderson wrote. Very well versed in Dune, and I've played a few real-time strategy games in my life too. So, what we're really talking about here is a 4x4 real-time strategy, which basically means base management, unit management, resource management in real time versus other factions. Now, because this is Dune, there are a lot of things that specify this game. First of all is the factions themselves. You have Atreides, you have Harkonnen. If you're familiar with the movies, especially the newer movie and the sequel that's coming out here in March, you'll know some of this. Or the old Kyle MacLachlan one from the 80s, which is just so weird. So you have all these houses, Carino, Atreides. The Fremen are a faction that you can actually play. And the basic nature of the game is to harvest spice, pay your taxes to the Imperium, maybe court the Fremen if that's your thing, subjugate, or do a friendly takeover of local villages so that you can gain resources in that area. Build up your units if you're going to be a military power. There's multiple ways to win each game, and there's 3 different game modes, though the long form one was really frustrating for me because I kept getting like 6 hours 6 hours is a little much, maybe 3 hours into a game, and then just getting blown away by just for some unknown reason. They have a lot of different objectives in that long form version. So I kind of stick to the Canley duel, which is the 2-on-2, or just I think it's called the Conquest mode, which is the 1-on-1 and 1-on-3. And there's also multiplayer. But again, the nature of this game is very, very specific to Dune because the ways that you harvest spice, the units that you get, the art of Canley, the Landsrad, negotiating through Chome. I don't have time to explain all these concepts if you don't know Dune, which is kind of unfortunate because Dune is like it's very complex. It's very deep philosophically, as well as just narratively and conceptually. Frank Herbert was kind of a genius level fiction writer, storyteller kind of guy. And while Dune is an action adventure story, at least the first one, because the later books got more and more esoteric as you went along, it's about a lot of different things. It's about environmentalism. It's about vendettas between old faction houses and families, and there's so much going on in those books. And what really shines in Dune Spice Wars, what I really, really admire about this game is the fact that the developer went above and beyond to try to systemize any element in the sandworms, of course. How could I forget the sandworms? Get your whole army eaten by a sandworm randomly. To systemize all these elements that exist in the book and in the films, and to turn it into some kind of gameplay mechanic. I think that's really cool, and I really appreciate that as a Dune fan. So, for instance, the Landsraad, which is the union of houses, like it's the collection of great houses, right? You have to vote in the Landsraad for certain measures that will either compromise or help you, or compromise and help, or help rivals, forming treaties, forming pacts. You can assassinate people. You know, it gets very, I mean, you know, it's never as tense as you want a Dune thing to be, but it is cool for real-time strategy. So that's how the game plays, but like actually on Xbox, because this is specifically the Xbox review. It is disappointingly not in 4K. It's in 1080p so far. They may patch that. And disappointingly, it doesn't even hold to 60 frames a second. So I'm not really sure why the extra CPU power is not translating quite as well, or maybe this game is just deceptively heavy on the specs, because it looks simple enough. It's kind of got like a semi-cartoonish art style, which doesn't really fit with Dune, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because at least Dune exists in some form or another here. And then the other thing about it on Xbox, which is a little bit lame, is that it's not perfectly mapped out for what you would call a gamepad, an Xbox controller, right? So I reviewed a few months ago, they brought Age of Empires 2 to Xbox Series X and S, and I remarked in that review about how well they'd actually managed to integrate the systems into an Xbox controller, and by doing that they actually had to invent new subsystems for certain things that were not in the PC release. So it is a totally different version. This game, however, once you get it on Series X, there's another sandworm. Happens more often than you want. Ain't that always the way? Anyways, this is just a straight port, and they did their best to map it to the controller as well as they could. But there are things on the screen. Look how dense this screen is. So you can click in the left stick and get a cursor. And if anybody's ever used a cursor on a gamepad joystick, you know how god-awful that is to place on anything, to try to select anything. So you can do that. But because I can't easily access everything on the screen all at once unless I do that, there are things that I miss. And there are a lot of different angles to approach this game from, so you're kind of always like a little behind the ball. And there are certain things that don't really work at all, where you try to select it and then it's like multi-selected because you have your thing off, and then you turn your thing off and then it unselects, and you have to kind of go back and forth, and you have to use the D-pad a lot to select options within sub-menus for certain things, like a base. If you want to build an additional, say, missile silo or something like that, missile turret, you have to go to the base, hit it with A, click right on the D-pad. It's a mess. It's kind of a mess. But it's not unplayable, and I really do appreciate how far they've gone in making this as Dune-like, Dune-fulfilling as possible. So I'm going to give Dune Spice Wars, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 on the Xbox. I think it's probably an 8 out of 10 experience on PC, which is where it originally launched. It's a little bit more cumbersome on Xbox, but I really do like this game, and I really will be spending some time with it. So that's it. That's all I got to say about Dune. Hey everybody, do me a favor, check out my latest music album thingy. Can't call it a CD anymore because there's none of those really. It's on Spotify and iTunes and Amazon Music and Tidal and Pandora and all these places. It's even for free here on my YouTube channel. Just go to my channel page and check out my albums. Good music, rock music mostly, some acoustic stuff, some pop stuff, some blues stuff. I think you'll like it. If you don't like it, I guess you can try to get a refund from Spotify because it's not going to come from me. Anyways, goodbye.